Well, hey guys, it's Greg Jones from Motorcycle and Powersports News, and welcome to another episode of Dealer Dialogue. Today, I'm joined by Alex Reyes. He is the business manager at Broward Motorsports of Palm Beach. Alex, thanks for joining us today. How you doing?
Hey, Greg. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on and just enjoying the sunny South Florida weather. Wish I could have had you down here. Would have been cool.
Yeah. Hey, I don't need too many excuses to escape to Florida from Ohio here. Um, but our weather is starting to turn, and it's starting to get to be riding season up here, so we're getting excited too.
That's nice. Riding seasons is a little rare to me because it's kind of like all year's riding season. So when you say that, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Alex, I definitely want to get to know you a little bit more and tell the people a little bit about, what you have done in this industry and what you're doing today there at Broward Motorsports, and of course, dive into some details about the dealership. But I wanted to start with one thing related to a quote I saw at the bottom of your email signature. It says, it goes beyond a brand. It's about living an extraordinary lifestyle filled with lasting memories. And I was hoping we could kick off the conversation just talking a little bit about what that means to you and why that is kind of like a motto, so to speak, for most people in power sports.
yeah, that's kind of how I got started was realizing that, you know, time on this planet, so to speak, is pretty finite, and creating these memories is incredibly important. So, um, the way I got into this business, actually, I was in the financial services. Uh, long story short, economy tanked in '08, '09, '10, and was relegated to the car business. No offense, the car business is a great place. I know a ton of great people and individuals there. Built a nice, solid foundation, but just wasn't really enjoying it. It was more of a sale of a product. It's like, what are you selling versus why you're selling. And I went on a trip in the middle of the state of Florida with a buddy of mine, and we went in this natural course on jet skis, and it was just like an aha moment. It's like, wow, I really enjoy this. And he's like, hey, I work at a power sports shop. I'm like, really? I didn't know. But he's like, come give it a shot. And 12 plus years later, I'm still here. So my values kind of aligned with Broward Motorsports and the owner Sam Nemi. He's a legend in the business. He's a jet ski champ. You know, I think he started in 2002 with his own dealership down in Hollywood. Um, Currently have 6 locations,
Okay.
and over like a 12 dealership purchase. So he's kind of consolidated the businesses, but you know our values aligned. The guy lives it. He's a savant, on the business side of it, on the racing side of it. And I really think that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So that's why that creating the memories, whether it's a Yamaha or a Honda or a Suzuki, it really is about the why, the motivation behind why we do this. And I think that's why power sports overall is really growing. It'll continue to grow in all types of economic climates. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So it sounds like Broward has been around a little over 20 years now. And you mentioned a couple different locations. Um, Now, have you always been at Broward of Palm Beach there, or have you been to the other locations or done different things?
yeah, well, I've been at the West Palm primarily.
Okay.
Um, them open up the flagship, so to speak, location in Fort Lauderdale. It's about 75,000 square feet.
Wow.
It's a facility. It's beautiful. If you're ever in the South Florida area, I'd love for you to pop into all the stores, but Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale, you really got to check out. You really get an enhanced experience when you have everything laid out, hanging, and we actually marine business is huge. We actually have a marine area with docking, and so I was West Palm, Fort Lauderdale, and then I've worked my way back up. I live out here in the Palm Beach area. Um, some additional experience. I was GM for a little bit, and I really find my niche in finance because you're still really in the business. You're not so far removed where you're looking only at data. You're actually having real life conversation with families and
Mhm.
ride. They're going to the track, so that's kind of my experience with the Broward Group.
Very good. So Alex, tell us a little bit more of the details of, the Palm Beach dealership in particular, in terms of, how big that dealership is, the OEMs and the types of vehicles that you guys specialize in,
Yeah,
and then about how many staff do you guys have?
this is a very large location geographically. We have about 4 acres here
Oh,
in the
wow.
heart of the beach, not far from downtown, and truly not far from a lot of riding off-road area. It's a 4 acre facility, about 60,000 square feet. We have 3 separate showrooms. We carry Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Can-Am, BRP, Polaris, KO. We're a full lineup. We also have a partnered store just a little north that has Ducati, BMW, um, Kawasaki. So we have the privilege of having, a one-stop shop, so to speak, experience here in West Palm. Um, and we're kind of geographically able to pull a lot of South Florida business, the Miami-Dade, Broward, as well as Okeechobee, a little more rural areas. A lot of people don't realize that Palm Beach County is actually the largest agricultural town. I'm sorry, county east of the Mississippi. So we get a lot of agricultural business, big sugar and a lot of fruit just west of our store. So that kind of flourishes our off-road business, side by side ATV. Um, so we have roughly, I believe we have 55 employees currently. The general manager here is Pete Lorelli. He's a legend in the business. Director of ops is JJ Shirino, another excellent mentor and leader of the group. We have currently 2 finance managers. We have about 13 sales staff, 3 sales managers. Um, yeah, we've got a large dealership here. We also have our service department off site. It's just maybe 500 yards down the street. Um, our service department does such a great job. You'll get people from Tampa, Naples, Fort Myers, literally just to service their machine because they're dealing with world class technicians. Daniel Steele is a watercraft technician that's in the back. Um, there's so many guys back there. Richard Springer, Cody Moore. We've really got guys that make a difference, on the longevity of your ownership experience. So yeah, I'd love to have you, man. It's a fun crew.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome, and certainly, uh, as you've been describing it, one of the bigger dealerships that people, might get to experience.
Yeah,
Um, Alex, you mentioned some of the OEMs and the vehicle types that you guys carry. How about on like the gear side of things, apparel side of things? Who do you guys typically work with? Or there's probably too many to name
there,
if I had to guess, but
there's a ton. You name it, we've got it, so to
yeah.
speak. That's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but the Fox, the Leats. Yeah, we have I want to say at least 15,000 square feet of accessories. So whether you're enduro cross or motocross, we've got a section for you. Um, Obviously, accessories are a huge part of the business. So we've kind of created a process where there's a solid introduction for people that are making purchases in our store to meet our parts guys because that's a more repetitive type business. It's simple for someone to jump online and say, "Hey, I want to order, you know, um, a different color fairing, or I want to get them 4 exhaust or the two brothers." But they lose that dialogue,
Mhm.
and that's what sets Broward Motorsports apart. I feel like you've got riders working the service counter, like they're not here on Saturdays. They're out racing. We do rotating schedules, and the same thing on the watercraft side. We've got a few champs. Matthew Richuk, he's one of the business managers, national champ, and it's important that when you're offering a suggestion on a part or an accessory, that you have some experience with it. So
No, that definitely goes a long way. No doubt about that. So, Alex, I wanted to ask, and I'm curious to know, again, based on the size of your dealership versus, many out there that are going to be smaller than what you guys are, what have been some of the challenges for the dealership lately? And do you see those challenges being different than what maybe a smaller dealership might face?
yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the biggest challenges that I think across the board we're facing is um, help, right? I feel like there's growth in the business side, well, whatever department you want to look at, but the recruiting aspect and finding the talent has been a bit of a challenge. And I think every industry, if you ask anyone in any profession, that's a big challenge. But a smaller dealership may not require so much, sweat equity, so to speak, and a human resource because they're a small market. So that's definitely a challenge that we probably have amongst our 6 stores,
Mhm.
and kind of how we've overcome, because that's an adversity that in itself, the economy is one, but not having the right employment capabilities or the people is huge because you can't service the customers. Social media is great, and internet and web access has created an instant gratification, and people, their purchasing times have really increased. They want to be in and out, and they want it swift, and they want it explained properly, quickly. And if you don't have the right people to, whether it's demoing the units or going over a repair order, can be a challenge, and not an immediate challenge, but a challenge down the road where they're saying, hey, you didn't fulfill what the expectation was. So we've kind of strategized at the management level and said, hey, we've got to find people. They're not going to just run and say, hey, I want employment. So we've employed a simple strategy. We look for people that are good people,
Yeah.
people share some of the values of honor and respect and simple stuff, and integrity, and people that have some moxie, that are resilient, because sales is not easy, service is not easy, parts is not easy. So we actually turned it to the customers. We look for employment in our customers, and we offer jobs routinely. I want to say half of my staff purchased here before they started working here. So some of the smaller market dealers, may not have the benefit packages that we're able to add. So that I would say that is an advantage for working for a larger group like Broward Motorsports. We have a 401k plan. We have, health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance. Uh, what everyone really cares about is product discounts.
There you go.
When I bought my C2 GTR, that was a huge perk and an employee benefit. So we try to amplify that to the current employees, create a good working environment. We ride together. You pick out what you want to do. We also sell e-bikes and mountain bikes. So we've got a crew that goes out. We hit different trails, and we'll do races together. So I can see that that is a challenge that we have in a larger market versus a smaller market type dealership.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, it's finding the right people. You can grow only as far as the amount of quality people that you have. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. No, that's certainly a challenge, no matter what your dealership is, or what your business is, people are what makes it work. So, um, Alex, I wanted to ask, again, you mentioned, the size of the dealership and a few different things about what you guys carry. You mentioned that a lot of the people working there are really great and certainly passionate. What are some of those other things that make Broward Motorsports unique?
I think mindset. It's a mindset when you come to work here. The slogan speaks for itself. You got to ride, right? It's not a job requirement, but it kind of goes to the goal of what we do and the
Mhm.
mindset, right? I think one of the managers. No, actually, this was Sam. I think he said, "Grab life by the throttle. You go the direction you focus." And it's true. It's the strangest little secret, right? Like the way you focus, what you think about, you become, and the the company's become such a standard by doing things the right way, right? Taking that additional initiative, that additional step. So goals are incredibly important, and I think that each individually store of ours and any market can do this. When you set the goal appropriately, you have something to go towards, right? You have a why. You're not just seamlessly showing up to work to service, a Honda Goldwing. You're not just showing up to try to find a sale. You're actually aiming towards something.
Right.
So I believe that that is a differentiator maker. And we come in, we have an objective, we have a goal, we have a mindset towards something. And when you have multiple people or a team collectively moving in that process, the results amplify. So if I can make a recommendation to anyone that's in the business is to really just get the mindset of the dealership the right way, set attainable goals that are within reach, but they still push, right? They push you. And then that data really helps you coach your team and coach, and specifically me, when we do reports towards our goals, we're able to review them and then have some coaching material, like specific finance. We look at not necessarily your profit per vehicle. That's obviously a standard in the finance world, but we look at our penetrations, right? you know, what kind of effort are you putting towards cash deals that are under a 400cc metric, like a YZ65? Are you moving towards the goal of protecting the customer and, offering them, call it a gap protection because they financed the unit? What is that level? What are you at 25%? Are you at 50%? Are you at 100%? So when you have a goal and you follow the process and you collect the data, you're able to coach and move towards bigger and better results. And that's something we employ here.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. Um, Alex, I also wanted to ask you about some of the trends that you might have been seeing just in the marketplace lately, maybe specifically to you guys. Again, you don't have a necessarily quote unquote, riding season. It's kind of all year round, everything goes. But what have you guys been seeing in terms of trends of, people being interested in vehicle wise or even, finance wise with what you focus on more? What are some of those things you've been seeing?
Yeah, some of the trends, well, I guess I'll kind of hit some of the good and some of the bad. A concern is, you know, do you offer financing? Like, I think some markets or some dealers actually don't even dabble there anymore. I think it's pretty antiquated and rare, but a finance department and offering, the flexibility of making payments to a lender or a bank is critical at this point.
Mhm.
So that's something that we offer, whether it's on the parts side or on the major purchase side. We offer a variety of different lenders that step up. And the challenges have, I mean, it's all over the news, is rates, right? Home rates are 8%, which is high for, I guess, any generation. But when you walk in and you're at 10%, 12%, customer can't necessarily wrap itself around that type of rate because we've been accustomed to very low rate market. So
Right.
the banks are adapting and offering programs of 0% introductories and, step rate blended programs that, offer a benefit to the customer and kind of overcome the adversity of the rate market. Those are the guys that are, doing a lot of business, specifically with, larger groups that focus on that. Like we're looking at the rate sheet every month. We're looking at what the advances are every month. We're looking at what kind of tiers are available to the customer. So, declining credit, obviously, market has been an adversity as well. But, some of the lenders are expanding, right, with additional proof of income or, some additional stipulations. We're able to offer a solution.
So, Alex, I'll circle back in a second, but since you're on the topic of finance, I understand that you guys have a partnership with Synchrony. You know, can you just talk a little about that partnership and how important that's been to the dealership?
Absolutely. Yeah. Over the years, Synchrony has been an incredible partnership. I remember when I first met the guys when they had a joint program with Yamaha. I was in the Fort Lauderdale store probably 10 years ago. And, it was just like any lender coming in trying to earn the business. But what I've seen is over the years, Broward Motorsports and Synchrony have really aligned their values as well. You know, I see a ton of lenders come in and out, and you can really over time determine if they're partners or vendors.
Mhm.
Synchrony truly is a partner bank. And I say that because, I've been doing finance for over 12 years, and, I was in the security side of things as well, selling mutual funds, etc. That wasn't quite as fun, but, you know, people sometimes put profit over people instead of people over profit. And I feel like Synchrony does a really good job of saying, hey, let's check in with our people. I've got a great relationship with our rep, Charles Smith. He's amazing. He gives me a bunch of data and kind of gives me some of the cutting edge information on what's to come and what they're seeing, over the different platforms. And that helps educate me. I think everyone brings a lot to the table. And when you have a bank that partners with you and goes beyond the call of duty and says, hey, here are my rates, but says, hey, here's some of the data that we have over the different verticals and the different brands, that's helpful. And then we're able to kind of siphon that to our other locations. And I think it's differentiating info, and it really goes to why we do over $2 million a quarter with them in fundings. Like they're they're a big part of what we do, and
Yeah.
and that's why Charles check in weekly. We're conversating what's on the cutting edge. So the ease of doing business with a lender like Synchrony just amplifies the partnership. They listen though. They get into the trenches like, hey, what can we do better? DocuSign came out, probably saved 10, 15 minutes of the process. They fund overnight. It's immediate. If you're missing a stipulation, the underwriter or the funder calls you and says, hey, just trying to get this funded for you. If you could go ahead and send, the title application. We were missing that. That open dialogue and communication is more partnership than a vendor,
Mm.
right? A vendor like doesn't call you. You've got a funding pack, and a finance managers and GMs can, understand this. Contracts in transit are not something that you want to build up. And when your lender is working for you to achieve a quick funding time, that's amazing. They're like an employee of yours, um, under the Synchrony umbrella. So that's what I like about them, man. I really enjoy the partnership.
Yeah, and Alex, it sounds like, what you said is very true about just being a vendor or truly being a partner. Not only does it sound like it's been really helpful for you and the dealership, but I'm guessing it's been helpful for the customer, right? Like has that led to more customers or an easier transaction for the customer?
Absolutely. Listen, what we do is not rocket science, but when you could take what's complicated and make it easy,
Hmm.
the world of a difference. So, they're marketing online now, you know, they have QR codes to do credit applications. That just amplifies our experience with our customer when they invest in adding to the ease of the process of applying for credit. It just adds to the loyalty and the longevity of our customers at Broward Motorsports.
Yeah, excellent. So, Alex, you were talking about some of the trends that you guys have seen on the finance side. How about some of the trends in terms of, what people have been buying from the dealership, vehicle wise, or, what kind of segments have been popular lately?
Yeah, that's interesting. We've seen a shift. We're geographically located in a kind of a urban area here in West Palm Beach. Generally, in more urban areas, you don't see as much off road, but there's been a deep desire for getting out of the house and getting on these trails, and the shift from on-road touring bikes for us has increased exponentially. I can't put a percentage on it. If you give me some time, I could get you the data. We're roughly 75% off-road to 25% on-road. It's been a dramatic shift versus it was maybe pre-COVID, maybe in 18, 19, it was about a 50-50% split. I
Yeah.
was talking to Pete Lorelli, the GM here, about it. And, it's strange because here in South Florida, real estate is king, right? So any piece of plotted land that's vacant or open is destined for a house, condo, anything other than off road usage, right? Um, Here locally, there's been some conversation about the Palm Beach International Racetrack because that was kind of the outlet, one of the few outlets for South Florida. You have Homestead, and then you have PBIR, which was previously known as Moroso. It was shut down, closed for development. So now there's a huge need for a track or somewhere to ride.
Hmm.
So I think that closing here, as well as people just wanting to be outdoors, has led to more people wanting to be on your ATVs, dirt bikes. Um, whether it's getting muddy here in South Florida or hitting some dunes out of the area, people want to ride and they want to bring their friends with them. It's not such a solo, independent. I want to go cruise 200 miles and come home. It's like, hey, let's bring the family. You know, let's bring the neighbors with us, whether it's ATV ride at Corbett or Plant Bamboo. Um, that's been the major shift, and it's wild because here in South Florida, it's not like you can just go 10-20 minutes to go off-roading. You've got to make a conscientious effort to load up, whether you're camping or just going for the day, but you're driving about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, whether you're at the bottom of Key West or you're in West Palm, you're driving a bit. So it's kind of wild to see the shift to ATV, UTV usage.
Yeah. Well, and you had mentioned earlier too that you got a pretty big agricultural, business where you guys are at. So I'm sure that a lot of those types of folks need those types of vehicles just, to work the fields and the farms and whatnot too.
It's a great point. Yeah, that part of the business for farmers and ranchers has dramatically increased. So that can play to that point. That agricultural side of things, the demand, so to speak, has increased, which just kind of trickles down into the local community. Um, so I really think that could be a big possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like you said, I think everyone's looking for those additional experiences, and getting off road is definitely a fun way to do it. So I don't I know a lot of dealerships are seeing an uptick in that segment in general. So
Yeah, well, when you come visit us, we'll make sure you get nice and muddy.
there you go. Sounds great.
Take you on some
Alex,
trails.
yeah. Alex, I know service isn't really like where you specialize or where you focus. But can you talk a little bit about the service department? It sounds like uh with the size of the dealership, you guys probably do a whole bunch of different things. What's kind of the common work that the service team will see?
Yeah, we're big on customer service, whether it's in the sales side, finance side, or service itself. So I think most of our work has been from our maintenance plans. So when we begin relationships or we have general walk-ins, we like to offer convenience and customer service. So we've found that our maintenance plan has dramatically increased service business, but loyal customers. Because what happens is customers super attached to their unit and the experiences and the memories that they're creating. So they don't just want to let anyone work on their machine. You've got safety, you've got pride, um, you know, so you want to have some correlation to or familiarity with who's working on your machine. Little different than when you go to Hyundai or you go to Chevy or Ford and drop off your truck to get an oil change. There's some intimate, like we're doing valve adjustments. We're upgrading quads. We're adding snorkels. We're doing radiator relocates. We have a BMS custom where we'll do portals through Super ATV or High Lifter. We get our parts through them. So I would say a combination. Our service business is between maintenances from our prepaid maintenance plan, so ongoing service, and then the customs. So right now, I want to say we're on the custom side. We're turning out a full lift probably in a week and a half. Portals, full pro box, um, you know, 6-inch lift, week and a half. That's pretty quick. People like that turnaround time. And they like people that are riders. Our service guys are riders. Like they're out there. You know, if they see someone when they're out riding, they offer the help. So yeah, that's where we've seen our service department grow is
Yeah,
between the maintenance plans and our modifications as far as customs.
very good. No, that's excellent. Um, I want to change gears slightly. I wanted to talk about EV. You mentioned that you guys have some bikes at the dealership. So I'm assuming that you get into some e-bike stuff, but then, on the motorcycle and ATV and UTV side too, has Broward Motorsports kind of embraced EV? Do you guys sell that stuff, or is it still kind of TBD?
I think the question mark is still there. We have uh, offered a commitment to sell EV. Um, the demand's not quite there. You know, um, it's a very small percentage. I feel like there is a market for it. Some hunters like the fact that the machine's extremely quiet, but others don't because they can't have an extended ride to go hunting, right?
Sure.
Arch system out in the middle of the swamp. You'll be wrangling alligators rather quickly. So I think that it needs to be thought out a little more thoroughly for the market to really be excited and say, hey, I need to go pick up a Can-Am Defender EV, right? Like there needs to be a thought out process to every angle of it. So, we've sold several Polaris. We sell the Gem low speed vehicles that are EV. We have a few mountain bikes. We've actually seen it in the mountain bike side of things on the cycling side have a lot of good feedback because you're not out there riding as much, and the battery pack or the power source lasts enough for it to be productive, right? The
Yeah.
last thing you want is go on a uh, you know plan a 200-mile ride and only have enough juice for 150 of it, right? Not necessarily every customer is going to plan that out. They're going to want to say, all right, we're going to go and come back. So, maybe some battery backups, um, that's kind of where we're at with the EV side of things.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. A lot of it, like you said, depends on the market or depends on the segment. Um, so yeah, if you guys aren't seeing it, then that's totally I don't blame you at all. You gotta do what the market's telling you. So Alex, I wanted to kind of enter a conversation just forward thinking, in whether it's with you personally, with your department, with the dealership in general. What's kind of some of those things on the horizon for Broward Motorsports? What are those things you guys are looking to do with the dealership?
Yeah, that's a top secret question.
Well, you don't have to give away the secrets, but
Listen, it's always about meeting the challenge, being challenged, and taking the next step. Um, and Sam's a great leader, and he's all about working harder, finding a better way to do it, being super efficient. And I think he's got some things lined up for the future, to make the brand itself leaner, meaner, and more exciting for the future. This is the time if you're looking for to be in the power sports business is to look at Broward. Obviously, I can't rave enough. I'm a Floridian myself, but the weather, the no state income tax, the pro-capitalist type government. Um, yeah, this is the place to be. Specifically, or to our location here in Palm Beach, we're going to be a Honda powerhouse. So that's on the horizon, and I can share that. We have, I think, another 30,000 square foot facility being built. So that's that. We're super excited and stoked about having the auto replenishment, having such a great brand, specialized with a Honda finance manager, a Honda sales rep to amplify that experience. So that's on the horizon. You know, um, uh, Continued education for our employees. We've got some training, in-house training that we've kind of put together. The nice thing about, I think, a larger group like this is that we have a wealth of knowledge from different industries and different locations. So we almost have a little mini 20 group, so to speak, within locations. All the GMs bring a ton of dynamic experience from prior. So when they meet, all that great information kind of trickles down. And, whether we're creating a new software, to make a process simpler, which, that has been in the works. We've partnered with a few different companies to just make our workflow easier. And then vice versa, this now gets out into the power sports community and improves every market, every dealership workflow. So that's on the horizon as well. I think AI is the big topic, right? How do you implement AI? What department? At what piece of the process do you implement AI? I'm super excited about it. I love it. I also don't want it to lose, all the data that AI has and is put together. I also don't want it to lose what we do, because why we do this: community, adventure, connection. You know, Through connection, we're able to create, what we do. So how and where we implement that's on the horizon as well. And yeah.
yeah, no, it's a lot of things. So yeah, there's a lot to be excited about, which is awesome. Uh, Definitely makes coming to work fun, right?
We get to do this. We don't have to do it.
Well, Alex, again, I really appreciate the time today. Before we sign off, I just wanted to, ask you if there's anything else that we didn't touch on or anything else that you wanted to mention. But if not, again, really appreciate the time and getting to know you and Broward Motorsports a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you for the call, the opportunity, and again, um, mi casa es tu casa. So my house is your house. When you're down in town, come take a look. I'll give you a nice tour and a nice experience of the place. And it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Alex. And again, want to thank the audience for tuning into this episode of Dealer Dialogue. Make sure you guys are checking out everything going on down there in Florida at Broward Motorsports of Palm Beach. And as always, make sure you're checking out motorcycle and power sports news for great motorcycle and power sports content. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.